Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your entertainment. This particular story is called Humanity Has Shown Its Fangs, written by MC Muller, 87. Captain Zug rubbed the area around his cybernetic eye. He had insisted to be the one to conduct the peace negotiation between the Zegan Empire and the Terran Federation. He was among the first at the start of the conflict to voice the opinion that humans had fangs. That was to say, they were vicious enough to be their equals. During that conflict, it took 4 assassinated emperors to be proven right. Well, the 3rd emperor was wise enough to consider peace talks, but was killed by his warmongering peers. The other 3 were killed by human assassins. The negotiations were all but concluded, but were stalled by Captain Zug. He insisted that until the personal matter was resolved, the negotiations would remain stalled. He glanced at his near-empty chalice shelves. He had put all but 2 chalices into storage. One was meant to be a gift if the right human arrives. The door to his quarters chimed, and he barked, "Enter!" A young man entered. From a distance, Captain Zug did a brief scan with his eye. Different hair, different skin, same eye color, similar scent, and a prosthetic arm with a single plasma charge. Captain Zug asks, "Ichigo Reynolds?" "No, sir, I'm John Smith." "Begone!" Captain Zug began to turn away from the human. "Speak plainly, Oni." Captain Zug whipped his head around back towards the human, and his cybernetic eye glowed. Ah, that phrase. The human lowered his eyes as he spoke. "I apologize. My superiors are concerned with your obsession with this Ichigo Reynolds." Captain Zug chuckled. "You just reminded me of someone whom I greatly respect. Sit, and I'll tell you of that meeting to the best of my abilities." Captain Zug drank from his silver-coated chalice. This meeting, like the wine, will be bittersweet. The door to his quarters chimed, and he called "Enter." A middle-aged man with streaks of grey in his blonde hair, and his wrists bound at the front. Captain Zug spoke. "Ah, Captain Alexander Reynolds. I hope that we can maintain civil niceties before barbaric necessities." "Speak plainly, Oni. What will become of my crew?" "Oni, you called me that on our first encounter. What does it mean?" "Your people resemble a kind of demon from our folklore." Captain Zug chuckled. "And your people resemble the cave-dwelling child-snatchers of our mythologies." Captain Reynolds smirked at the comparison, and was shocked when he glanced to the side. Much of the wall was multi-shelved and half full of chalices, skull chalices from various species. The topmost shelf had a single chalice, a gold-coated skull with diamonds in the eye sockets. 2 of the upper shelves had silver-coated skulls with either sapphires, rubies, or onyx gems in the eye sockets. 2 of the lower shelves had brass-coated skulls with nothing in the eye sockets. The very bottom shelf had several skulls that were unadorned with wax lining. Captain Zug smiled. "It's a Zegan custom to turn our enemies' skulls into chalices," Captain Reynolds asks. "I take it the more ornate ones are those you greatly respected?" "Indeed." Captain Zug took an unadorned skull chalice, one that looked like a Zegan. "This is the pirate slaver, whose name I don't want to remember, that we agreed to cease our battle to rescue the colonists from. These kinds of chalices we use on the opening toast of the festivities, and then we smash them on the ground. It won't matter whether they survive the night intact, or are smashed underfoot. They'd be disposed of by a cleanup crew." Captain Reynolds asked, "Is that to be the fate of my crew?" Captain Zug sighed. "To speak plainly, my emperor is an idiot, who is surrounded by genital-licking sycophants. He, in his arrogant and intoxicated wisdom, decreed that there would be no quarter for captured combatants. As much as I disagree with the order, disobeying him means my skull would be his unadorned chalice, despite my years of service and outstandingly competent record." Captain Reynolds spoke up. "There is still a chance. Even if I disobeyed right now, and the current emperor dies before I have tonight's dinner, the next emperor is more likely to uphold his predecessor's decrees. There are too few of us that think that the Empire has gotten so used to subjugating dull fangs that it has forgotten that there are races whose fangs are as sharp as our own." "What is the point of this meeting?" for you to understand the situation we are in, and my promise to grant your crewmen a modicum of respect. By killing them, yes, and coating their skulls with pewter for our mess hall. If any of my crewmen treats them like an unadorned skull, they'll be missing both their fangs and their horns. Believe me, if it wasn't for my emperor, your men would have lived and been released during negotiations as token of good faith. Captain Reynolds sat down and sighed. You have a strange way of respecting your enemies. Captain Zug chuckled. I suppose it is to outsiders. Now, do you have any next of kin? Captain Reynolds glared and clenched his fists. Captain Zug spoke. Do not mistake my words for malice. I am amongst the best captains in the Empire, and you've evaded me 3 times. 4, Captain Zug chuckled. I'm not counting our truce against the pirates. I'll turn your skull into a treasure that'll make your kin proud when I return it to them. Captain Reynolds took a breath and stood up. Humans, in general, don't like to abandon our own. Return the skulls of my men, or you'll get nothing from me. Captain Zug chuckled. Spoken like a Zagan. I promise as a captain and a soldier to relinquish your skull and the skulls of your crewmen to your blood kin. Captain Reynolds took a deep breath and spoke. I have a son, named Ichigo Reynolds. Captain Zug stretched to crack his neck and shoulders. He pulled out a knife and the controller for Captain Reynolds' cuffs. Now you can either die with your fangs in like a monk, or with your fangs out like a beast. Captain Zug deactivated the cuffs. Captain Zug gestured to his cybernetic eye. And so he used the cuffs as a weapon and took out my eye. You should be proud, Ichigo Reynolds. Your father died with his fangs out. Ichigo Reynolds dropped the facade of John Smith. How did you know? You spoke like your father. And this eye is not just for sight and intimidation. It confirmed your identity halfway through my story. And I know about the plasma shot in your arm. Ichigo struggled to speak. And my father's? Captain Zug pulled the chalice from the top shelf and presented it with care. The skull chalice was gold with rubies in the eye sockets and diamonds forming the eyebrows. Captain Zug spoke. And as promised to your father, the skulls of his crewmen are in Hangar 4. And as per your ambassador's wish, all the other human skulls are in Hangar 5 and 6. You are free to return them home. Ichigo was caught between disbelief and anger. Is this what you meant when you said it's personal, when you demanded me to meet you? It is. Does that phrase have a different meaning with you? It does. Like it's personal that you killed my father. Ichigo kept his prosthetic arm pointed at the floor as the hand split apart for the gun barrel. Captain Zug stretched and cracked his neck as he spoke. If you're going to kill me, at least show me the same amount of respect I did for your father. Ichigo studied the chalice that was his father's skull as he spoke. I know in your twisted ways you were honoring my father, but I cannot forgive you for killing him. Ichigo quickly took aim and fired. The guards rushed in, and Captain Zug growled at them to stop. Ichigo had intently missed, though the plasma bolt was close enough to leave Captain Zug a mild sunburn. Ichigo approached and pointed the still hot barrel under Zug's chin. Ichigo nearly growled, I'm no warrior, but if you ever threaten me and mine, you won't have a skull to be turned into a chalice. Captain Zug chuckled. You have your father's fangs. I believe this concludes our meeting. Ichigo pulled the barrel away, and his split hand had reformed to cover it. Captain Zug scratched the area where the heat tickled under his chin. Captain Zug spoke. Tell your ambassador, our peace negotiations have successfully concluded. Humanity has shown its fangs and shall remain independent of the Empire. End of story. Story number 2. The Unintended Seed, written by Shadeskira. In the endless expanse of the cosmos, where stars burned like scattered embers and galaxies danced in elegant spirals, the gods gathered. It was the celestial convocation, a meeting place beyond time and space where divine beings convened to share their creations and seek counsel. Gaia had been silent for eons, once a vibrant presence amongst the gods. She had withdrawn, her voice absent from the cosmic symphony. Her peers had long speculated about her silence. Perhaps she was crafting a masterpiece, they thought, a world so perfect it required all of her focus. When her summons finally came, it carried a weight that silenced even the most curious whispers. Zulthar arrived first, a crystalline figure refracting light into rainbows. His children were beings of energy and intellect, flourishing in the ordered harmony of the crystalline cities. Zephyx followed, a liquid form that shimmered like molten silver, constantly shifting. Their oceanic world had a haven of unity, its aquatic denizens thriving in cooperative symbiosis. Thryzar was next, a colossus of molten stone whose presence radiated volcanic heat. His people forged from fire and rock, embodied endurance and strength, their society structured and unyielding. Lunara arrived last, her translucent form glowing softly like moonlight. Her bioluminescent children lived in seamless synchrony with the ecosystem of a lush forested world, each life a deliberate note in a divine symphony. When Gaia appeared, her form was a storm of contradictions, rolling mountains, crashing waves, searing fire and swirling wind. Her very presence was chaos and creation intertwined, a stark contrast to the precision of her peers. The gods regarded her with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. "Thank you for coming," Gaia began, her voice an orchestration of whispering winds, rustling leaves, and distant thunder. "I've been silent for too long, and I must explain why. You deserve to know the truth, for my creation will touch all of yours in ways I never intended." The gods shifted uneasily. "I watched you all guide your worlds," Gaia continued. "You shaped your children, nurturing them with care. You taught them harmony, balance, and purpose. I sought to do something different. I wanted Earth to be a paradise, not for one species, but for all life, a place where diversity would flourish endlessly." Her voice faltered. "But I underestimated the forces I unleashed. I thought I could balance the scales, but her reaction rippled beyond my control." Zephyx's liquid form rippled with curiosity. "What happened?" "I filled Earth with endless potential," Gaia said. "I gave it storms to renew the land, volcanoes to shape it, predators to maintain balance, and disease to strengthen the weak. I believed these elements would create a world of harmony. Instead, they created struggle. Every force I introduced collided with another, and life on Earth became a relentless battle for survival." She waved her hand, conjuring an image of Earth. The gods watched as storms ravaged the landscapes. Predators hunted with terrifying efficiency, and prey evolved cunning and speed to escape. Even the plants and microbes competed fiercely for dominance. "Every attempt to correct my mistake only made things worse," Gaia admitted, her voice trembling. "When I lessened the storms, droughts followed. When I added new predators, they grew more dangerous. The world I'd meant to be a paradise became a crucible, a deathworld where only the strongest, most adaptable could endure." Thryzar's molten voice rumbled. "And yet life persists."
"Yes," Gaia said, her tone softening. "Life not only persists, it thrives. It grew sharper, more inventive, more unyielding, and then, from the chaos, humans emerged."
The image shifted, showing fragile, upright beings. They lacked claws, fangs, and natural defenses, yet they wielded tools and fire, their eyes burning with determination.
"They should not have survived," Gaia said. "By any measure, they were weak, prey in a world of predators. But they endured. They fought, they learned, they adapted. Their fragility became their strength. They bent the world to their will, overcoming challenges that should have destroyed them."
Lunara's soft glow dimmed. "You did not create them."
"No," Gaia said. "They were not my design. They arose from the chaos I set in motion. When I saw them, I hesitated. I could have ended them, could have unmade them before they spread, but I couldn't. They were too remarkable, too beautiful in their defiance of the odds."
Zalthar's crystalline voice chimed in. "And now they reach the stars."
"They do," Gaia said, her gaze heavy. "They are not like your children. They have no divine harmony, no guidance to shape their path. They are driven by curiosity, ambition, and the unyielding will to survive. They are peaceful, but only because they choose to be. Threaten them, and you'll awaken the fire of a world that forged them."
Zephyx rippled uneasily. "What do you ask of us?"
"Warn your people," Gaia said. When they encounter humanity, they'll see the differences. Humans are a product of chaos and struggle. They will not yield. Treat them with respect, and they will return it. But if you fear them, if you hate them, if you threaten them, her form darkened, the storm within her eyes flashing with lightning. You will face the children of a Deathworld, and they will not fall. They have no claws, yet they forge blades. They have no wings, yet they fly. They will find a way to overcome any obstacle, any enemy. The gods were silent, the weight of her words settling over them like a shroud. Bryzar's fiery form flickered. And if they are met with adversity, what will become of them? Gaia's expression softened, a mixture of pride and sorrow. She gazed at the image of humanity, fragile, determined, and endlessly striving. I can only hope, she said quietly, that they'll remember the peace they have chosen, that they'll not let struggles of the stars consume them as Earth's struggles did. My children, if you can hear me, know this. You are strong, but strength is not all there is. Be wise, be kind, for the cosmos will test you, and you must not let it make you into what it fears. Her voice grew softer, almost fleeting. Hold fast to your peace, even when it's hardest to keep. For in peace, there is greatness beyond survival. In peace, there is hope. The gods departed one by one, their forms dissolving into light flame and waves. Gaia lingered alone, her gaze fixed on the blue and green world that she'd both shaped and left untamed. Grow strong, my children, she whispered, her voice of prayer carried on the winds of eternity. But grow gentle, too, and may the stars know the beauty in your chaos, not the fury of it. End of story. I would like to thank our T5 members and patrons, Casper Arnholtz, John Creighton, Vidmori, 050, Dragzoon WRE, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.